Hello, and welcome to another episode of Wheelchair Wednesday here at the Wheelhouse. I'm your host, Wheelchair Rick. I almost forgot my own name here. Trying to get everything set up last minute. We got two coming at you today on this beautiful Wednesday. Today, the first guest is coming to us all the way from the great state of California. We're going to get to her in a minute. Before we do that, let's roll the intro. Welcome to Wheelchair Wednesday. All right, everybody, let's give it up for Aly Corvin. Yeah. All righty. I hit one of those buttons I wasn't supposed to hit. I'm not sure what that was, but we'll let it go. How you been? What's going on? How are you? Good to see you.
Good to see you as well. Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm as good as I can be, right? I think we all have our life stuff, but all in all, I am having the craziest year of my entire life, and so much is going on that I can't even keep track of it. I was trying to write out a list today, and I gave up because it's just insane. So, yeah.
Hey, I hear you there. I was just kind of thinking about it. We haven't really talked before this week. Just kind of had to go. But progress, if you're wanting to get better at doing anything or being some, whatever, it's going to take time. And you gotta put yourself into it. You know what I mean? And I've seen a couple of your videos. You're out there. I mean, you got some momentum. It looks like. So
Yeah.
We're gonna get to all that. I want to start out this interview by obviously saying thank you for coming on, but let's get the first question out of the way, which is probably the one that you get all the time, which is what happened. You know what I mean? What is your category? What happened? What is your classification? Go ahead.
I was born, and that is what happened. Two people met each other, they had horrible genetics, and I won the genetic crap lottery, and I got all of the possible bad things that you can get. I have currently what they are labeling as unspecified Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, which is a connective tissue disorder, and the reason it's not labeled as hypermobile or any of the other kinds is because I have so much going on with my genetics and so many markers for different types of EDS that they currently have no idea what's going on with me. I also have markers for things like Marfan's, which are other connective tissue disorders as well. But then I got real lucky, real double whammy, and I also have a TBI. I have a few, but I only have one that's lasted or given me lasting effects, so that's super fun. But with EDS comes a bunch of other things. So the thing that currently is the biggest, largest reason why I am using a wheelchair is I have chronic daily dislocations of my large and small joints. So that's hips, shoulders, elbows, all the joints in my fingers, you name it, it's coming out of socket daily, and that's several times a day. So I'm constantly just on risk management. And then I also have small fiber neuropathy, and I have the autonomic form. So basically all the small nerves in my body just freak out and don't know what to do. I also cannot feel the same way other people who are not paralyzed or don't have neuropathy feel below the waist. So from the hips down, I have a lower sensation, and then all the way on the left side of my body, I also have lower sensation, however heightened pain. So super confusing, lots of conglomerates of things. But
right.
Yeah, that's the lovely category.
And see, it's almost like with, I've done over 100 of these episodes, thankfully, you know what I mean? And with everybody's story, it's always something different. Nobody's ever the same. It's always something different, something in that's not necessarily specified on any kind of medical registry as a certain thing, because it's just crazy. But, when I went to go label this, normally I'll put they're T3 paraplegic or something like that. And see, for you, it's I think we'll just leave it, and then they can come in and listen. Yeah, there you go. All right, well, there you have it with that. Now that's a whole laundry list of stuff to get into. So some of my questions I'll have to switch up to kind of, go with that. I mean, because typically we talk to, spinal injury people. But welcome. We're still going to get to it and ask you this question, which is the next one. What's your biggest pet peeve about being in the chair?
Oh gosh, my biggest pet peeve is you can't do that. That ooh drives me up a wall, and I think that's what I've created my entire platform around. Is like, oh well, you're disabled. You can't possibly X Y Z. That X Y Z. I am currently. I mean, my list of X Y Z's I've been told I can't do is atrociously long, but we're blowing through the list. I have a partnership with iFly, which is an indoor skydiving place. I'm going to be doing that as well as actual skydiving, and it is all adaptive. I get the argument a lot of the times of like, oh, but if you can stand, then is it really adaptive? Yes, it is really adaptive. I'm surrounded by people who are paralyzed or have things like spina bifida, and it is just super eye-opening to be immersed in this culture. But yeah, my biggest pet peeve is you couldn't possibly XYZ because nobody knows what's going on in our bodies other than us, and we know our own limits. So maybe don't, tell me what I can and can't do. So
That's probably
yeah.
why your list of things is so long, because you're like, you know what? Matter of fact, I remember. Let's try this too. Put this on
Yep.
here. Yep.
And it doesn't help that I'm an absolute adrenaline junkie. I mean, I've already done scuba diving this year, and I'm putting swimming with sharks on the list to go next year. So yeah, it's a bit crazy.
Nice. Yeah, and what we do on all these too is we're gonna tag all of your different socials inside the description. So if somebody wants to go see you, we'll get all that after the show because this is live right now for those who are listening. Later on, we'll put everything in the description. That way you can go check out Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, whatever it is you want to promote on yourself. Now I see you've been doing that. How long have you been doing social media for? Like pushing.
I've only been committed to socials for a year, and I've only been consistent since about March, and even then I would say really it's been August that I've been really full-time in it. And I've seen an insane amount of growth, and I just am honestly overwhelmed every single day seeing where it's going, because on our screen, right, it just says number.
Right.
But then if there's 17.5 thousand people standing in front of me, I might literally pass.
Right. That's a lot of times how I think of it too, is like, it might not look super big with so many, X amount of viewers or listeners or downloaders, but you think about being in a room with that many people and you're like, oh, that's a lot. To me, more than 10 people is plenty. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
So, but yeah, definitely, 100%. Now, what is your biggest fear about living life in a chair?
Ooh, I don't think I allow myself to live with many fears, but currently, right now as it stands, I am terrified that I am going to be paralyzed soon. So I have degeneration in my lower spine, and I currently don't have a custom fit wheelchair, and I'm not promoting the fact that I have a fundraiser. That is not what this is about. I am just literally terrified that the medical community does not know enough to help support the complex needs of all of our different types of disabilities. I actually, rest his soul, I'm like gonna hold it together because I don't do crying live, but a few days ago at a hospital I was just in last week, a friend of mine passed from autonomic dysreflexia, and it's infuriating to me. So little things that other people see as little things, that's what scares me, is making things smaller that need to be treated as much bigger than they are.
Right. Yep, that's a new one. I haven't heard that one yet, but that's definitely makes you thinking about it. You know what I mean? Like, just the stuff you take for granted, you got to think about it. Open your eyes, and life is worth more than just looking at, I don't know. I look around at people all the time and they just sit around screening in their phone and they're not really doing much. And I'm like, bro, you got to put that down, do something, have some kind of aspiration for yourself,
Exactly. And I think that honestly, you're just making me realize, while I don't let it, control my life as like a fear, my biggest fear in life is becoming disabled enough that I am unable to leave my home and advocate and leave my home and do these adventures and experience life at the rate that I am, if you will, because I was homeless last year and like struggling at my absolute worst with my health, and I couldn't do the things that I'm doing now. I get a lot of the times like, oh, you're so lucky, or oh, you're so this. But truly, like, I've not put my life on the internet until this year at the rate that I am, right? So I don't think people really comprehend what we go through behind the scenes, and so I'm terrified to be, knocking on death's door and have not lived the life that I want because of my chair or because of my disability or because of my pain. I'm going to be either in pain in this bed or in pain jumping out of an airplane. I'm going to choose the latter. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean because I made a post, I think, after we came back from Florida or whatever, and I'm like, I was like down there when I was in Florida and like getting out of the hotel beds that suck and doing all the stuff. You don't like the memories. I'm looking back and I had fun, and the memories of the fun parts. You don't remember the pain. The pain's not in the memories, and that's what you want to remember is the memories, right? So it's like you're gonna be in pain no matter what if you're sitting in your room playing games and being safe, or if you're out there doing something. So try to go do something because, like you said, we're all gonna die eventually. And do you want to sit there by the time you're getting ready to die and be like, man, I really wish I would have went to that concert or spent that money on that, whatever, however, whatever it is.
Exactly. And someone who's blessed enough to ambulate a little, I'm going to go test all the things for those who can't, because that's the other thing I get. Well, I can't do these things, XYZ. I'm in this kind of chair. I'm in that kind of chair. Great. Then I'm going to go to those places and make sure that next time you can go.
Right. And a lot of times, like talking about like that too, as being like a T3 paraplegic, like watching some of your videos, I've seen you in the video. At first, like I couldn't tell that you could move around. And then I seen you doing like these dance moves and stuff with like your legs and these other wheelchair girls, and I was like, wait, what in the world is going on right now? And that's why I was interested. I mean, you had a few videos kind of explaining it, but as I was like, man, I'm gonna see if she wants to do an interview and get her on the show. And here we are. But yeah, for sure. Let me ask you this. This is a big question we get a lot: is dating or married in a wheelchair? What is your experience with that?
Ooh, goodness. While I will not drag any of my exes through the mud, I think they all deserve respect in some way, shape, or form. Gosh, I have seen some crazy things. Oof. I believe that there's a very controversial opinion around whether it is harder, quote unquote, right, to date as someone who is a full-time chair user versus someone who is ambulatory. And by ambulatory, I do mean like part-time, right? I am now full-time outside of the home. I have to ambulate in the home because if I don't exercise my muscles, I will lose them. And this past week is a nod to that. I lost 10 pounds in a week because I was sick. So it's important for me to exercise what I do have to hold my body together. However, before I was at this, stage in my disability journey, I was a part-time chair user. Whether I should have been is irrelevant, but I walked outside my home for a very, very long time, and then I only used my chair for long distances or healing or whatever it may be. That was the hardest for me personally, experience both options, right? It was much harder explaining to people constantly why, or justifying why I needed the chair on one day and I didn't the next. It's, I think, an extremely isolating experience, especially if you're not in the social media world, to have to not only accept that you need a chair when you can walk and stand, but also then become your own advocate overnight. You have to somehow muster up all of this confidence that comes from nowhere, mind you, because everybody is against you. And then also explain that to the people that you were trying to go on a date with. It's exhausting. I think that I got in a lot of bad relationships that I shouldn't have fairly early on in my journey, and it was all just because I got even some kind of approval or attention from them. And I even entertained the "wow, that chair's so cool" thing, or can I sit in your chair? And now, I would literally just tell someone to go get Crocs.
Right.
But yeah, I think it's insane. I think every single person who is disabled or a chair user in any fashion has a different experience with dating, and good Lord, I can tell you, it's like the Olympics, right? You never know what you're getting. It's way harder than you thought it was going to be. And there's like 55 sports. You got to choose one. It's a mess. So, good Lord, I could go on forever about dating, but I just think if you're confident in yourself and your own abilities and your disability, you'll be just fine.
Well said. I'm gonna give you a round of applause and hit the right button on that one. Good job. Thank you. That was great. What is something that you wish you could do right now that you cannot do, or that you could do before that you can't do anymore?
Oh God, I no longer can stand and dance safely, right? Can I? Sure. I always tell people who ask if I can run, I can run in a zombie apocalypse, but I probably wouldn't make it very far, and it wouldn't look like running.
You get further with the wheelchair.
Exactly. And so things like, anything that's impact, I really can't do for endurance length of time, if that makes sense. Like, I cannot run. I wouldn't call that running. I cannot walk for long periods of time anymore without dislocating so many things that I'm in the hospital. Like I said, I walk at my home, but obviously that comes with rest and breaks and sitting and collapsing and all these different things.
Right.
But one thing that I truly do miss, and I don't think at this point in my life I will ever get back without extensive support and quite a bit of money, is I was a professional aerialist and scare actor. So I worked at Halloween haunts and I did parties and all kinds of crazy things. I've, walked on a 6-inch thick beam over a drummer and hooked up to an aerial rig and performed above a band. And those things no longer are safe. I mean, good Lord, I have my heart monitor going right now, and I'm currently at, I don't know if you can see that, 121, just sitting here.
Oh,
and
man.
a lot of people go, oh, you're probably nervous. That's just how I am. And so, I'm constantly monitoring things like that. And if I were to go back to that lifestyle, I don't know how long I would be at this ability level, if that makes sense.
Right. No, for sure. And speaking of like blood pressure and stuff like that, because I think I had a minute coming out here where I had to like, oh, hold on a minute and tilt back or whatever, because sometimes, I don't know, it's just sometimes the AD will do it. Sometimes just anything when you're messing with nerves and your body and like, I don't know, it's weird. Your blood pressure is like, it's wonky to say the least.
Oh yeah. Well, and I have autonomic dysregulation in my entire system, right? So like I mentioned earlier, I have autonomic small fiber neuropathy, but I also have POTS, which is postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome. That has been like, rising the stats of people learning about it, if you will, in the last few years. So I think a lot more people are educated on what that is, but what people don't realize is how many other things it affects. So it doesn't just affect my heart rate and me passing out all the time. It means that I cannot regulate my temperature. That mixed with a small fiber neuropathy, I really can't regulate my temperature. So you'll see me in the middle of winter in a hoodie, and then I'll have a neck fan on because my face is on fire and my feet are ice cubes. It's just, people don't think about the things that they can't see. And so if they can't see it, then, oh my gosh, it can't possibly be happening. And
Right.
How could this person deal with that much and still persevere? Like, oh, I don't know, because I want to live a life, So yeah, the blood pressure stuff and the heart rate stuff and the temperature and hormones, it is just all consuming all the time, but it's something that I've had to get used to, because it's been 28 years straight. You just get used to it and figure it out.
Right. Yeah, you got to. Like you said, if you want to live a life, that's your only option. Nobody wants to live in a nursing home or a hospital.
And I was really close, so yeah, I'm glad that I didn't end up there.
Here's a question for you. If you could fix one thing about your problems in your body, what would it be?
Oh my gosh, it would currently be my spine. That's the most terrifying thing, I think, is 4 nights ago, I told you I lost all this weight in this past week. I've been trying to get a custom fit chair for, since I got my first one. My first one, I just yes-anded the man who was my ATP because I was terrified that I wasn't going to get a chair. It's a much harder deal to get a chair for someone who's ambulatory, and at the time I very much was.
Right.
And when I saw people from the manufacturer in person, they told me it was quote-unquote the worst custom build they had ever seen to date. And it shocked me, but it made a lot of sense. I couldn't really push it on my own. Someone had to push me. And I kept thinking I was more disabled than I was. So now I'm using a chair that's built for someone who's 4'10", and I'm 5'7". That in itself is not the whole issue, but like that explains quite a bit of like, the shoe doesn't quite fit. And due to that, the pressure that I've been putting on my kyphosis and my lower spine is causing the lowest joint in my spine to just be absolutely obliterated. Well, I don't know if you know this, but the SI plate that's connected to your hip bones, that connects your spine to your hip bones, should not move. It's no different than having, like, the plates in your skull should not move.
Right.
Mine dislocates. Like, I can feel the edge of it pop out, and it's been confirmed with x-rays, it's been confirmed with all kinds of different doctors, but the other night it popped out so far that I lost all normal feeling in my legs, and I only had pain sensory left. So it felt like both of my legs had been lit on fire, and it was traveling up my spine. I had to walk around in that much pain for about 20 minutes just to get it to click back in place, and I was like sobbing the entire time. I don't have time to stop and film those things, but had I not gotten that in place, there is a very large chance that could have progressed exponentially, and I could have lost the ability to walk. And that's not dramatic. That's like my spine being crushed internally. That happens to me constantly, and the only thing that will stop that is having proper posture in my chair, number one. But number two, I have to build muscle around that area, and because I can't strain enough to work out without popping it out of socket, it's kind of just like a vicious cycle. So it's like this slow burn rebuild of muscle. It took me 3 years to get that muscle there, and in a week I lost it.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is nuts. Yeah. It's a lot of things that I hear on this show that makes me just cringe, and it's like, oh, I don't want to, it's just like imagining it's like, I can't do it. I want to say what's up to our live viewers. I usually do, but I was just, been kind of off. Al, Ben, what's up, guys? Kevin, Spencer, I see you guys up there. What's happening? Normally, if they ask a question that's relevant to the case, I'll ask it. So far, it's just some chit chat. But if anybody's got a question you want to ask Aly live, let me know. Next question I got for you is, what about your pain level?
I have been treated like a drug addict my entire life, just due to me explaining my pain. Never once in my life have I ever asked for pain meds. Never once in my life have I ever been an addict. No shame to those who deal with drug addiction. That is not what this is. However, my pain level is intractable. I have uncontrollable, extreme, severe, chronic pain every single day of my life. So when you watch that football movie or that other sports movie or whatever, and you see someone dislocate a joint, that amount of pain is happening in my body everywhere daily. And I often get asked, well, how can you just look fine? But you look fine, or if you wouldn't be able to talk, you'd be screaming. If I screamed my head off every single second of every single day, number one, I would have died already, right? Like, your body can't handle that amount of exhaustion.
No.
But number two, it's not really socially acceptable. You got to figure it out. So I did. I currently have 3 ribs out of socket, one of them which has popped out since we've been on the show.
Oh,
and
that's
why
fun.
like adjusting. So we love her. My sternum is not where she should be. Both of my hips are out, my knees, ankles, lots of bones on my feet and hands, elbow, and this shoulder. It's never ending, but it's very hard for me to put it on a scale, right? Like, when you're given a scale and you're put in front of all these little happy and sad faces, and the pain scale is compared to how you behave, it would mean that I'm at a 2. But if we're going on how much it's actually affecting my mental health and my ability to function at the level I should be able to function, right, not compared to other people, I'm currently sitting at probably like an 8. I've never once said 10 because I always believe that there's room for more, and I'm not trying to jinx it. But
Oh no, for sure. I'm with you. Yeah, and like for somebody like me, who's only got the pain in the one area, right? Because of the plates and the stuff holding my spine together. Which is like, chronic. I get that part of it, but like to have that hurt, then this one day, then have to adjust to get that, like, it's like shit. Some days you got good days, some days you got bad days. A lot of times I talk to some people that's been complete, and then got incomplete, and they said that it hurts more. Like everything burns and stuff and hurts more. And I'm like, I don't want to be incomplete. I'll take my completeness and I'll have a good day with it.
Yeah, my left leg I currently cannot feel because it's so far out of socket that it's just pinching the nerve, which is wonderful. However, when I pop it in later, it's just like you feel this almost like dam has been left down and then all of the nerve pain is reconnected, and it's just pain at first
Oh,
because
dang.
there's been damage happening, right? So when you unleash the floodgates, it's like a lot of people are like, oh, that must be so satisfying, or that must be so relieving. I just had someone this morning comment and be like, was that satisfying? It sounded satisfying. And I was like, I'm so glad for you that you enjoyed it. However, on my
However,
end, not the case.
right. Let's see. I'll go with this one. Let's do hobbies. So we've talked a little bit about it. There's a question about one of your hobbies. What are some of your hobbies, and what's the favorite one that you like the most so far?
Gosh. I mean, now that my quote unquote hobbies have become essentially what I'm wrapping my career around, it's hard to differentiate like what is a passion and a hobby and like what is career. However, I am just extremely central in the arts and anything that is based around adventure. So obviously like, my entire platform is adventure based, and the reason I chose that is I was running for Miss Wheelchair California accidentally, mind you, and I was like, oh, silly me, if I did win, what would I want to do for the rest of the year? And I jokingly said, well, I want to go on all kinds of adventures, and that can include anything, right? So I mean, I just have an extreme passion for advocacy, and I think I've been able to like pull my passions and hobbies into that. But off screen, things I don't show that are my hobbies is I absolutely love to paint. I painted this actually, that's right above me. I love making art and expressing, emotion and pain and fear and grief all through that art, whether it is through dance or through painting or drawing or whatever. Because I think that whenever you give someone a visual representation of something that you're experiencing, it's a lot easier for them to relate to it.
Right.
And that's just like the human experience, right? I can't fault anyone for not understanding something they've never experienced. And I definitely can't fault someone for not knowing something that's never been presented to them. So, yeah, I think being someone who's lived in, a body that's just broken down my entire life, my quote unquote hobbies kind of tie into my health, unfortunately and fortunately. But yeah, I'm a good storyteller, so my hobbies kind of all central around that.
Nice. Yeah, you sound very well spoken. Like you know what you're gonna say. You know how to like start with something and end with it. And wrap it all up in a nice little bow. That's good. That's a good skill to have.
I think it comes from trauma, man. It comes from trauma.
Right. The trauma made me who I am. Yep.
Yeah.
Now, one of our questions we had from Kevin was, it was Albert said, "How do you skydive?"
Me personally, it doesn't look much different than you. Would think a quote unquote able-bodied person would look skydiving. However, I have to have a lot of supportive bracing on because the speed in which that wind is coming at you would just shoot everything out of socket, and I need to be at least semi-mindful for what I'm going to be like when I arrive back on land. However, if I assume people are kind of more curious about what accessible skydiving can look like, I don't know if this is something you've even thought about, to be honest, but those who are paralyzed in some capacity, when they go skydiving, you have to tie your ankles to your butt, because if you don't, your feet are hitting you in the face. It's little things like that where it's like, well, how do we make sure that it's safe and we're not breaking someone in half from the velocity of the wind? Or how do we handle the impact on the ground? Well, I mean, here in California, can't speak for everywhere else in the world or the US, right? You have to do tandem your first time. I've been skydiving once when I was much younger. I went with my mom, and they strap you to someone behind you. Even at that point, you're not allowed to put your feet on the ground. So they're going to land for you. It's no different adaptive-wise, right? They're going to land for you, especially if you're someone who's paralyzed or you don't have sensation or control of your legs. Your legs are going to be lifted above you. You don't have to deal with things like that. So it really doesn't look that much different. But yeah.
Wow. Yeah, that's not for me. I'm going to stay on the ground. I'm a ground-based mammal.
You don't want to come find out?
I mean, I don't know. It's a
face
lot.
Your fears, live life, right?
Yeah. Another big thing that I don't think I'll ever do is take a cruise. just because of boats. I think I watched too many Titanic movies and documentaries and stuff when I was younger.
Yeah, I went when I was younger. I had no choice. It was something that my parents, took me and my younger sister. I got a really good deal right after all of those Carnival cruises had like horrific accidents. They went on sale, and my parents like, yes, that's what we're gonna do for our vacation.
They're like, perfect. Grab one up. Yep.
Terrifying. But now I'll float, whatever.
Nice. Heck yeah. Couple more questions for you, and then we're gonna wrap it up out of here. Let's see. Tell us about your fitness or your diet, like fitness/diet. What do you do to stay fit? What do you eat to stay healthy?
Oh my gosh. So I have the weirdest situation with health and fitness, if you will, when you pair those two things together. I just blatantly said something on a video, and I realize now, after someone brought it up to me, how ignorant it was for me to just blatantly say it, because it can almost sound harmful. Mm-hmm. And it's that I have a really hard time keeping weight on my body. I've chronically been malnourished since I was very, very young. I'm talking like infancy little. And it's a big reason why I work out so much. So like oftentimes those things don't go together. However, I can't keep fat on my body no matter what. So even if I'm sitting at home, my body has a hard time with malabsorption. I'm not absorbing the nutritions that you are. Nutritions, plural, love that for me. But I'm not absorbing the nutrition that I need to. I eat at a much higher volume, much higher carbs, because I actually am narcoleptic and I take stimulants in the morning. I have to have carbs to burn. And then on top of that, I have to have a very high salt content because of my POTS. It regulates my the water level in my body, which pushes on the vessels, keeps the blood in my skull, and then I do not faint as much. And the protein, for obvious reasons, right? Like I need to keep weight on my body somehow, and that somehow has to be muscle. I have rubber bands, extremely stretchy rubber bands for connective tissue. And I just explained this in a different video, right? Like my ligaments and tendons are like those stretchy rubber bands that can just stretch forever and never snap. Someone who doesn't have a connective tissue disorder, they have the rubber bands that you pull on, you just get them fresh from Office Max, right? And they stop. And you know not to pull them anymore, because if you pull them any harder, they're gonna snap. So I don't experience as many tendon and ligament tears as I do muscle. And muscles are what are holding my joints in place as we speak. As soon as I lose that, I am much more, quote unquote, right, disabled than if I have the muscle on my body. It's extremely painful to build muscle, but that's why I choose to do it through fun and adventure. Like, who can think about their pain whenever they're, rock climbing or skydiving? Like, it's always going to be there, but distraction is my best pain medicine. So I eat a lot of protein, not a lot of meat. I know that sounds backwards, but I was actually vegetarian for 10 years unwillingly because of a gallbladder surgery I found out I didn't even need. After I came out of that surgery, I could not digest meat at all. And now it's just beef, so like I don't really do well with that. It's different every single day. I have to kind of listen to my body. And honestly, I'm not really sure if you've ever had someone talk about like female health, but when it comes to like cycles and stuff, that has a very large role within my, eating habits and my physical activity level, because what that's doing is releasing hormones to then shed the uterine lining, blah, blah, blah. We know how periods work, right? Well, when that happens, it's also meant to like create birthing hips and widen things, which means your connective tissue is going to become more lax throughout your entire body. And that's every single month. So 2 weeks out of the month, I am, quote unquote, again, I hate saying this term, but like much more disabled than I am the other two. And so all of the videos people see of me doing all these crazy things and I look fine, quote unquote, is because I am actually more held together on those 2 weeks. The other two, I sneeze and I throw my back out. It's absurd.
So hence that tattoo I seen you just got, that was, I seen the design where it's like pulling itself apart or something.
Yeah.
If you guys want to see that, check that out. Huh? Right. No, I was going to tell them, we're going to post you your Instagram, I think, or something on that. We'll let people know and check that out.
Heck yeah, the tattoos, I mean, self-explanatory, right? And then on the inside of it says "to hell!" exclamation point, and that's my grandma always saying, "To hell with the people who, you know, judge or hate or whatever." But yeah, I mean, that's literally me being ripped in half constantly.
Nice. Well, not nice, but like it's a nice concept and the
Yeah.
way to throw it. It's kind of like me with being like the 1/4. There's a lot of people are
There
like,
you go.
well, what's that? And I'm like, well, 3 out of 4 people die when they get thrown out of vehicles. I'm the 1/4 that
Exactly.
didn't. But
Exactly.
But with that, I will say we have one last question to ask you, which I think is one of the more important ones. If you had one piece of advice for anybody who is living with maybe something that you're living with, or like a new person that's got to live in a chair or anything like that, what would be your biggest piece of advice to those people?
I honestly think that this advice could even go to just anybody struggling in any way, and I don't mean to like broaden it, but it's true. Stop trying to please anybody but yourself. The second that I started living for me is the second that the world became my freaking oyster. I mean, I just did a partnership with Apple, for God's sake, and I mean, I've been recognized by the city of Long Beach. I ran for 2 pageants and, you know, won titles in both of them in a year. It's just exhausting to live a life because you want approval from whoever, whether that be society, your boss, your parents, your partner, your siblings, your kids. I don't care. You cannot live a life of joy when you are living for anybody but yourself. And I wish that I could, you know, rip open the past and tell younger me that, but I think everything happens for a reason, and I'm meant to be exactly where I am. But at the ripe age of 28, like, I'm very lucky to say that I figured that out by now. I cannot imagine where I would be if I still cared what other people thought of me. Like, obviously, people saying harsh things doesn't feel great, but overall, I really don't care. I use things like that as fuel to educate so that those who can't handle those negative comments hopefully don't have to in the future, right? So, I don't know, man, just jump out of an airplane if you want to, or, you know, make the dirty joke, or, you know, date the person you want to, or the people that you want to. Just stop caring what other people think and hoping for acceptance, and just go live your life.
Nice. I like it. You heard it here first, folks. Well, it has been a blast. Aly, I'm so glad you could join us.
Yeah,
Thanks
I'm so
once
glad
again.
that you reached out in that Facebook comment section, man.
Yeah, I know. It's you got to get to him somehow. I just try to shoot him, and then if somebody hits me back, I'm like, "Hey, we got a show."
Hey, I check all of my comments and all of my DMs on all platforms. So
Awesome. Awesome. Heck yeah. Well, like I said, go ahead and once we get off here, shoot me all of your different links and stuff that you want to share. Once I get around tonight, when I'm not super busy, I'll throw everything on there. And then when it's going to be on the YouTube, Facebook, all the different podcast platforms, everybody will be able to see, you know, exactly where you're on and be able to click it if they so wish.
awesome.
So
Sounds great. I appreciate you having me on. It was a blast.
heck yeah, absolutely. Stay with us real quick. I'm going to shut everything down. Everybody else, if you're sticking with us, you're going to see another guy coming up here in a minute. Otherwise, we'll see you next week. Stay with me, Aly, and everybody else.